everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I have a rather unique camera from Sony. This is the DSC-QX10, and it's actually just like a little lens. It's kind of a disembodied camera, but it connects up with your smartphone. So the smartphone becomes kind of the brains of the camera, and this is kind of the sensor and lens. It does work on its own, but you really can't see what you're shooting with it, so it's really more useful when it's connected to your phone, of course. But when you turn it on here, you can see the little lens will pop out, and it's got a 10x optical zoom. So as you know, if you're taking pictures with your smartphone and you want to zoom in, you often have to either go with the lousy digital zoom that might be on your smartphone, or zoom with your feet and walk closer. So when you have this, you've got a 10x optical zoom, which is actually not too bad. It's on par with some of the lower end cameras in the marketplace. There's an 18 megapixel sensor on board, so it's got a modern image quality sensor to it, so that is a good thing. There's a battery here as well, so you have a small lithium ion battery that you can charge via USB. There's a USB port on here for data transfer and charging. They say you get about 200 shots on it, and probably about maybe a half hour, 20 minutes of video. So not a huge amount of battery capacity, but enough to get some pictures taken. There's also a memory card slot here for a micro SD card or one of the Sony M2 cards, and the reason is that by default it will not fire back the full res of the image. Now there is a way to get the full res image transferred to the phone automatically with each shot. However, the images are like 5 megabytes in size typically, so that will take a long time to get that image back to the phone before you can take another shot with the camera. So they go with that lower resolution just for the sake of speed, but if you want the higher quality image without using the memory card, it's possible. It's just that the camera slows down quite a bit. One other thing I like is that it has a tripod mount because this really is kind of a disembodied little camera. So you could set up the lens somewhere and then use your smartphone to control it. So you can have hold the lens up here and control it that way. It gives you a lot of flexibility that you might otherwise not have. It connects with the phone via Wi-Fi, and that will be the next thing we take a look at. So let me just get this thing set up and we will take a look. So Sony gives you a little mounting bracket here that you just have to line up on the bottom of the device here. So we'll just align this little line here. You snap it in and then you just kind of twist it shut. And then once it's on, it's got a mount that's very similar to what you'd have in a car mount for your phone maybe. It has like a little retractable thing here. What's nice is that it will work with a case. So I have a small case on my phone now, but as you can see, there's a lot of room here. So if you have a larger case, it should still work pretty well with it as well. And as you can see, there's some room here still. So if you have I would say if you have up to a Samsung Galaxy phone, that's probably about the biggest it'll fit, but you do have some room to accommodate a larger phone. Then when it's connected, it kind of feels like a camera a little bit at least. It holds together pretty well. It's pretty firmly attached to the phone. You have a nice grip here, and you've got your zoom control here as well, so you can zoom all the way out or go into that 10x zoom. And there's a shutter control here, so you can take a picture. It will actually take pictures without the phone connected. However, if you want to see what's going on, you're going to need to have your phone functional, of course. So I'm just going to pop into my phone real quick. Now, one thing you have to do is connect to the Wi-Fi of the camera because it operates via Wi-Fi. So if you have like an iPod Touch or one of those devices that doesn't have another way to connect to the internet, you're going to be offline while you use the camera because it's going to occupy your Wi-Fi. So we're just going to connect to the camera here. Another thing I suggest you do as well is when you get the packaging, it's kind of a neat package by the way, it's this cylinder. When you get the packaging, take out the quick start guide and take a picture of the little Wi-Fi password because it's just attached to one of the manuals and you will lose it. I know I will. So I took a photo of that Wi-Fi password and SSID and stuck it in my Evernote for safekeeping. So just keep that in mind when you go ahead and use it. There's an app called Play Memories that's on the App Store for both Android and iOS. It also works with Sony's Action Camera, which I have as well. So it's the same app that controls both cameras. And what's neat is that the app works very much differently depending on which device is plugged in. So here we are. As you can see, we have an image of what the camera is seeing at the moment. And if I want to take a picture, I can just hit the button here on the phone. Now, one thing that differentiates this from another camera that you would have, like a point and shoot, is that it is rather slow in getting its shot ready. There's a bit of a shutter lag a little bit, as you can see. And then it takes some time for that image to come back to the phone. Now, when it says fetching, what it's doing is grabbing that low-res image and dumping it into my camera roll. It also makes it accessible within the app as well. Now, these are low-res images, and I'll show you there's a way to get the high-res ones out without having to download from the card or plug it into your computer. But I want to show you a few other things first. So you also have some camera controls here. There isn't many, and I was kind of disappointed. I would have liked to have seen some manual controls, but you have intelligent auto and superior auto. I haven't figured out exactly what the difference is between the two. I suppose if I read the manual closer, I would know, but I'm not much of an auto photographer guy. I'm a manual photographer guy, and there is not a lot of controls for me. So if you go into program auto, what you can do is lock in the ISO, which is the sensitivity of the sensor in low light. I'll post some sample images in a couple of days too, so if you want to see how the image quality is, you can check that out. I suspect it's going, and just from my limited testing, it's about on par with what you would see from a point and shoot in this price range. There's also a way to adjust the exposure up or down, but there's no aperture or shutter controls, and that's something I would have liked to have seen. So maybe they can add those to the app later, because this is all software really. I think they could probably make those adjustments as well. Now the camera also does video, HD video, not like a true 1920 by 1080. It does 1440 by 1080, and that was kind of what the HDV format did initially. So the resolution isn't quite as good as a 1080 you might see on some other cameras, but certainly good enough. I would say really it's useful if you want video with a zoom. But one thing to keep in mind is that if you don't have a memory card inside the camera being this part here, you will not be able to record video at all. It doesn't shoot video back to the phone in real time. So no card, no video. But if you have a card, you can do video, and you can access it just by going to the mode button here and clicking through. You also have a few other things. Right now we have auto white balance on. We can change that. It shows me how many pictures are left on my memory card, and then what mode we are in as far as the shooting is concerned, as far as the image quality. I'm at 4:3, which is the aspect ratio, and the resolution is 18 megapixels right now. To focus, you can just tap on the screen and it'll focus into different areas as well, which is pretty cool. There's some settings, not too many, but you can go in here and you can actually copy the full res images from the connected device, which is the camera here. So if I go in there, I can pick out which images I want, and I can, at this point, specify that I want the full res photo if I so desire. So if I go to this one here and hit copy, it should give me, actually I have to go here to settings first. I can go and set the original 2 megapixel or VGA. If I could set it to original here, and that'll copy the full res image over to my phone without having to use a computer. So that's somewhat helpful. If we go back here, takes a second. There's a lot of waiting with this app. It's not as as advanced as a regular camera would be, mainly because you're relying on an app and a Wi-Fi connection and everything else. But so there is a little bit more lag here. A few other things to note though. You can set the white balance in here. There's a timer. You can of course adjust your image size here, so you can set the aspect ratio differently and choose different image sizes. You can decide whether or not you want to save images to the smartphone or just have them go to the memory card directly. You can have it beep or not beep, and you can of course format the memory card that's inside the camera, but not of course the memory on the phone. They're kind of two separate things. One last thing is it does know the difference between portrait and landscape, so if you switch the image around, it will do the same thing. So it's got some ability to detect that, and overall it's kind of neat. It feels very beta. I do like the idea of having my smartphone using an interface that I like control a camera, which I think is a kind of a neat idea. And this is certainly, I think, got some potential if they improve the software a little bit. I would like to see more manual controls. I would like to have some more flexibility in the kind of images that I can create with those controls. So that's my biggest gripe. It's a little bit slow as well, so I think maybe a little faster response between the camera and the device would be helpful. And I don't know what the capabilities of Bluetooth 4.0 are, but it might have been nice to see a Bluetooth option so that I'm not tying up my Wi-Fi while I'm taking pictures with the camera. But it's a neat product. I think it's something that will evolve over time. It's a neat idea, but it's not going to be for everyone. So if you saw this video and think you might have a use for it, then I think it might be something worth taking a look at. I especially like the fact that you might be able to use the lens almost like you would a flash and kind of position it in a very different way, and it might lend itself to some more creative photography, especially given that flexibility to detach the lens from the camera body, which I think is kind of neat. So that's the Sony DSC-QX10, and this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.